Hello and welcome to another tutorial. Today we're going to discuss how Applicantextra can closely integrate with Microsoft Outlook 2003, 2007 and 2010. So first things first, you will need to have logged into Outlook, and then once you've done that you need to then use the Java option in the login screen of Applicantextra. Once you've logged in, you should be able to go back to Outlook and see a button similar to this sitting on your toolbar in Outlook. Now this allows us to then highlight particular emails that we would like to import into the system and send them to Applicantextra. We've also got a right-click option inside of each email that allows you to send them to Applicantextra, and as well as that, you will find if you go into the email itself, there is a ribbon button here. This ribbon button is quite slightly different in other versions of Outlook, so for instance it will look similar to this in Outlook 2003, so don't be alarmed if things are slightly different. So once we're happy, so let's assume that we want to get this particular person's CV, which is attached to the email, into the system as a brand new candidate. So let's just click on Send to Applicantextra here. This will open up Applicantextra's dialog box that allows it to first of all check the from address in something in your inbox, or the to address in something in your sent items, and it will then go check the system for matches to that. It'll also use names as well, so if there's a name attached to the email address, then that will be used also to find matches, and it will suggest these matches here as potential sources for you to import against. But in this case we don't want to do that. I'll explain that side of things a little later on. But down here we have the ability, because it's found a file against the email, we have the ability to import the following document as a new candidate. So if we tick that button there and then click import, that will start the CV processing routine. And first thing it does is check for the name of the CV that's been imported and look for a match in the system already. If it's got a match, it will suggest it as a potential duplicate. If not, if it's not a duplicate and you would like to create it anyway, you can click this button here. If it is, you can tick this and click update selected record. But in this case we're going to create a new candidate. So let's do that. It takes us into the CV data helper. This area is designed to allow you to quickly and easily check and create data in the candidate record with the CV already open. There'll be a certain amount of it will have automatically been found for you, and some will need some manual adding. So inside of here we have the first place we end up is the skills section, and this has got some suggested skills here. These skills are just suggestions. You can if it's found something out of context, you can see where it's found them on the highlighted areas. If it's found something out of context, you can click X against that particular item and remove it from that candidate's record. It won't remove it from the whole database. So let's see if it's found everything it should have. Perhaps it's not found a skill that it might have found. Perhaps we would like a particular skill added to the database because it's not being found on this particular CV. Let's look at Word. It didn't find Word as a skill, so let's click highlight that and right click. Now it should have, or if we already have Microsoft Word, in this case we do as MS Word, we always Word as a skill, then we might want to add it as another way of saying that skill because it hasn't picked it up, so we can create an alias to it. So if we do that, and then that would have added Microsoft Word as a skill and then highlighted Word. Same perhaps you could do for Excel, PowerPoint and email and so on. But in this case we might also want to create a new skill that isn't on the database as anything else at all. So perhaps incoming phone calls might be an important skill that you might want to have. So if we add that to the skill set. These are just keyword matches, so please bear in mind I'm using some rather weird terms, but if we add that as a skill in the database, from now on it will find it in there. So if we can then decide what to do in terms of levels of attainment within that skill. We've got various levels of attainment. It could be beginner, intermediate, advanced and so on, and they've got titles here. In this case we'll discuss that at another time, and we'll get no level for now. Click add. Now that again is a skill in its own right now as incoming phone calls. So we've got that in there. We can do the same for qualifications and roles, and we can now check some of the other tabs. The address tab. It would have found various parts of the address for you already automatically, as well as the phone number and email address. If it hasn't got any of that incorrectly or slightly put things in the wrong columns, then you can just highlight a particular area, right-click, and tell it where you'd like it to go. And you can do the same for any parts of the system. So we can also go into current employment and see what it's found there. Again, you can do the same thing, highlight areas, right click and tell it where you would like to put those particular things. And the same goes for previous employment and any education details that it's found. Once you're happy with all that, you can click apply attributes, and that will send all of that stuff into Applicantextra proper, so that it can create a candidate record for you. And it will attach the CV as a private CV. So it's saving process, and it should drop us in any second now. Right, so now we can see everything it's found, all the phone number information, the address, any history that it's found, current employment, previous employment. We could go into the attributes of the candidate and see the skills that it's found. You can see here what I mean about the level groups. You can have 1 to 5 years, or basic, intermediate, advanced, and so on. So let's go back to the detail section. Now, as I said, it's attached that CV, the original CV, with all that contact information as a private CV, because we don't want that going to our client yet, because we don't want to be able to contact them directly. So the next thing to do is to create a public CV. So let's hovering over the green CV area, the public CV area, click the button, and you should see this open private CV as a template option. If we click that, that should open up the CV as it suggests, a template for you to then make some changes and save it back to the system. So first thing it'll do is it'll open up a template that we've put on the system that will have your header on it. So if you can imagine, your own header and footer will be inside of this CV, automatically attached. Now, now's the time for me to remove anything that I might think shouldn't be on here. So let's assume that all of this contact information here, perhaps we can keep the postcode in as a rough idea of where she lives. We can get rid of that there, click save, and close the item. And from then on, there will be that CV attached as a public CV. Really quick and easy, just to get rid of the stuff, and it's accurate. So that gives you a rough idea how to get stuff into the system quickly and easily. Now, just before I go, I'll quickly show you some other ways of getting things in. We will minimize here. Not only does it integrate with Outlook, we've also got some desktop integration. So imagine we've got something on our desktop here, this CV. I can right click on that CV, and there is a send to a Applicantextra option. Also, if I go into my file system at any point, you will be able to see, if I let's pull that a bit smaller. Now, if I go into the documents, into my CVs, anywhere in the file system, if I find a file that I want attached into the system, I can right click and send that to Applicantextra. So all of these, there is lots of opportunities for getting stuff into the system. Now let's assume that we've got a different scenario now, something slightly different. We might want to get the text of an email into the system. So let's open up this particular one, and we've got this is a test email, blah blah blah. Now that might be some important text that I want attached to a particular candidate, contact, vacancy, or anything. So inside of here, I've got the ability to also send this to AX, same way as I did the last time, but this time we're going to do something different with it. This time we're going to assume that we're going to assume that it's found the match. So let's say Trevor Barnes is the same Trevor Barnes that has just sent that email, and I want to import that text in that email against this person. But I might not just want to put it against the person. I might want to put it against something more involved, something like a job that he was it might be pertinent to a job that he was shortlisted against. So you have the ability, if you can find that person, to then look at any shortlists that they have open and attach that as a shortlist note, not just as a candidate note, but as a shortlist note with all of the relations that will entail. So if I also, if it does not find a match here, which is quite possible if you're dealing with a new client, or if the name's spelt slightly differently, or if they're using a different email address, then you can click this button here, Manual Search, and that will take you to this section, which will show you give you the ability to search any part of the database to find a match. So I could find we could attach a candidate, a contact, or anything like that. So if we go into here, let's go and find Trevor again, or let's go find the different person test. Let's find somebody else. Right. So if I found a candidate, I tick that, proceed. That would take us back to the match box, but this time with just the candidate that we searched for, and then I can attach this to a particular job that they're involved with and click import. That will then give me a success notification, and I can go into and find a candidate. Let's go and find a test. There's test. I can go into that candidate's record and see from the candidate's events that they have got Outlook incoming email event against them that has that's been attached to the client, the contact, the vacancy. So, and that will also appear in the shortlist entries. So if I click on that particular hyperlink there, I can see that candidate's CV and this candidate's email in more detail, and I can see what folder it came from, the subject of it, the to and from addresses, and the date that it was imported or received. So quite quick and easy to get both ends of a conversation into the system. Doesn't matter if you've sent the email through Outlook, you can still import it into Outlook into Applicantextra as if it was sent through it. So I hope that helps you. Please stay tuned. We've got some more integration stuff coming up based around calendars. So please check out that tutorial next time. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.